All right, we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Friday's edition of Masterclass. I'm Katie. I'm on the community team here at the Mom Project. For those of you who are maybe new to the Mom Project, we are a digital talent marketplace and community where you can realize your full potential as a professional. So through our marketplace, we connect you with job opportunities at family-friendly companies that allow you to thrive at work and at home. And through our community, we provide you with the support, tools, and connections you need to keep moving forward in your career journey. We're super excited for today's masterclass with Dr. Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey, and we are going to spend the next hour digging into mindset. Clarissa is going to provide simple and effective strategies to strengthen your mindset for success. So whether you're pivoting in a new direction, re-entering the workforce, venturing out on your own, or just looking for something else in your current industry, this session will provide you tools to support you in your journey. So just a quick bio. First and foremost, have to wish Clarissa a happy birthday. Today's her birthday, and she is joining us on her day. So we're very grateful for that. But just want to give you a quick intro about her. So Clarissa is a leadership and life coach and practicing abstract artist. She helps her clients who are feeling burnout and unfulfilled at work find their ikigai so they can flourish and make a living doing what they love. So what is ikigai? It's a Japanese concept of that which gets you out of bed in the morning. It's a cross section between passion, mission, vocation, and profession. We're going to get started in just a minute here. I'm going to share my screen. But as always, please feel free to drop your questions, thoughts, feedback into the chat in real time. We'll be reading that all throughout, and we'll bubble up questions as they come up. We want this session to feel interactive and engaging and exciting for all of you. So yeah, thanks you all for joining. We'll be sending, after this session is over, a recording and then also a variety of ways to get in touch with Clarissa, including some digital goodies for you guys to check out. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Clarissa. Thank you again for joining us today. You are phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the great introduction. And thank you for the birthday wishes. Honestly, I really couldn't think of a better place to be right now than with all of you. So thank you for having me. And this is a topic that is so near and dear to my heart.
It's phenomenal.
Cool. All right. So the next slide is going to show us what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to talk about just this topic in general. Why is it so important right now? And Katie gave a great introduction of who I am, and I'm going to share a little bit more with you. And then we're going to talk about two choices with mindset using Dr. Carol Dweck's work. And she has a book called Mindset. So if you haven't read it, I highly, highly recommend that you pick that up. And we're going to do an assessment so you can, kind of evaluate yourself and, see what kind of, which mindset bucket do you kind of fall into or tend to fall into. And then I'm going to share a little bit more about my mindset story and just I've been on this planet for a lot of years, and I would love to just share a little bit of my journey with you, and how my mindset has evolved over time. And then really what I want to get into are the strategies. And I think they're simple. I think we tend to complicate things, but give you 9 simple strategies that you can use every day to foster what I'm going to call, and Dr. Carol Dweck calls, a growth mindset. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my coaching framework, which is called Painting Your Path, named after a book that I published last year. And at the foundation of my framework is mindset and self-care. So I'll just go over a little bit of that with you. And then I always want to, anytime I'm doing a session with my audience, I want to hear, what are you going to take away today? Because getting all this information is inspiring. It's great to revisit. I think a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you are probably things you already know, but maybe just need a gentle reminder. And more importantly, what are you going to take to move forward? And do in your life, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. We can get all this great information. And for me, I would love for you to be inspired to take action on it. And then last but not least, Q&A. I know that you all had a lot of great questions that came up, and I'm really excited to dive into that as well. All right, so let's talk about why. I think this topic is so important, because how we really look at our life, what's our outlook on life? Do we tend to think things are working out for us? Or do we have a tendency to think that, maybe we're the victim of our own circumstance, things aren't working out for us? So I would love for you to just take a moment and, maybe drop a 1 in the chat if you tend to look at life as, things are working out for you. And drop a 2 in the chat if you tend to think, ooh, I'm not lucky, or things don't usually work out for me. And there's no wrong answer. It's just what is. So if you could drop a 1 or a 2 in the chat. And Katie, I'm going to ask if you can just share, what are you seeing?
For sure. I'm waiting for answers to come in, but I know for me personally, I'm a 1, but my husband is a 2, and it's very interesting. Like, I'm always like, why do you think like that? It's like really hard for us to like connect on that. So just a fun little tidbit there, but yeah, I'm definitely.
Yes. And you know what's so funny, Katie? So me too. Same. Like, I tend to be a 1 in many things. And my husband definitely is more of a 2.
Yeah. I'm seeing quite a few 2s, some 1s coming through.
All right.
Yeah, definitely a mix.
A blend. Yep. Okay. All good. 1s and 2s. Great. And so, as Katie mentioned earlier, whether you're, here looking for a new job, or you're getting back into the workforce after taking some time off, raising your children, which is so noble, whether you're exploring a new field, a new career, or venturing out on your own, mindset matters. It's so important, how we see ourselves. All right, so a little bit more about who I am. So I kind of chunked it into 2 pieces, the professional bio and then the fun stuff. So I am an organizational psychologist. I have a PsyD from the California School of Professional Psychology. So what does all that mean? So for the last 11 years, I have worked in the healthcare industry, working with people on leadership development, coaching. So definitely mindset is something that I hit on all the time. And apologies if you can hear, our gardeners are here now. So if there's noise in the background, apologies for that. And I also went to the Coaches Training Institute and did a coaching program with them for just some additional, schooling. And I am all about the mind, body, spirit. And if there's anybody here from San Diego, please type in San Diego. I just want to share about a phenomenal place that I love to visit. It's called the Optimum Health Institute. And I did their 3-week program there. And it's just all about different ways to nourish your mind, your body, your spirit. And again, definitely mindset was a big topic that we talked about at the Optimum Health Institute. And just some different industries that I have been in over my career. So current state healthcare, I'm in the dental field. And if anybody here needs a dentist, I am well connected with dentists across the US. I've also worked in the food and beverage industry, HR consulting, higher ed, and started off my career in retail. And on the fun side, as Katie said, I'm an abstract artist. I love acrylics, collaging, watercolor. I'm a leadership and life coach. I authored the book, Painting Your Path, which we're going to be doing a giveaway to a lucky viewer here. And if anybody here likes to take personality assessments, I also kind of wanted to share some of that with you. Anybody who has ever taken the Myers-Briggs, I'm an INFP. If anybody has ever done human design, I'm a manifesting generator. And if anybody has taken the Enneagram, I'm a number 4. And so I would love to hear from all of you. Has anybody here ever taken one of those personality tests? If you have, just drop in, if you're comfortable, drop in, which one you did, and share a little bit about who you are. I would love to know. And I'm a Taurus. Today's my birthday, as Katie said. I love karaoke. I really don't know if I'm a good singer. I don't care. I just love singing. I also highly identify with being a Gen X. I'm Generation X, and I also love hiking in nature. So just a little bit more about me.
Awesome. Looks like someone said, yeah, they took the Myers-Briggs. They're an INFJ.
Nice.
Then we have an ENFJ and Enneagram 2. I took the Myers-Briggs once, but I don't remember what I got.
All good. I know. And I feel like that can, change over time depending on like what's going on. So thank you.
Wing. All right. Oh, and another happy birthday wish to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, so what we're really going to dive into is what I like to say, a tale of two mindsets, the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And again, this is stemming from the work of Dr. Carol Dweck. So before we talk about fixed or growth, let's just even define, what is mindset? What are we talking about here? So the way that it's defined are just beliefs about one's own traits, qualities, and abilities. Kind of like, how do you view yourself in the world? And people who tend to have a fixed mindset believe that there is a fixed amount of a trait or a quality. And I'll give you an example of that. So how many of you feel like you're bad at math? I'll raise my hand to that. Who feels like they're bad at math? Okay. So that is a little bit of a fixed mindset, because you're kind of qualifying it with, you have a certain amount of math skills, and and I can admit to it too, but the good news is we can definitely shift over to the growth side. And the growth mindset is the belief that one's basic qualities or traits can be cultivated through effort, and also by trying new strategies and seeking appropriate help and input. So just because you have a more fixed way of looking at a particular quality or ability or trait in yourself right now, today, doesn't mean that you can't shift that into more of a growth mindset. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So here is where I would love for you to join with me. This is the assessment piece, and there's going to be 2 pages of assessment. So I want you to read each of these statements, and on a piece of paper, just say whether or not you agree or disagree with the statement. And then I'm going to reveal, is this a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? And again, this is just for you to look at and really answer honestly, because, it's only going to help you to be honest with yourself. So there's 4 statements here. I'll just read them to you. Number 1, your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. So do you tend to agree with that or disagree? Statement number 2, you can learn new things, but you really can't change your intelligence. So that's number 2. Number 3, no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. And the last statement, you can substantially change how intelligent you are. So I'll just take a pause and let you all do that self-assessment.
I love this. I love when it, I'm just taking a minute to reflect. So I'm excited to see
Yes.
here.
Yes. And don't overthink it. Just whatever gut reaction. Do you tend to agree or disagree? And you may be kind of, in the middle, but just put the one that you tend to agree or disagree with the most. All right, so I will tell you which is which. So statement number 1, your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. That is more of a fixed mindset. And how do we know that? Because it says you can't change very much. That's the indicator. That tells us that's kind of more of a fixed outlook. Number 2, you can learn new things, but you really can't change your intelligence. That is also more of a fixed mindset because we see the words you really can't change. So those two are fixed statements, mindsets. And you may have guessed it, number 3 and 4, no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. You can substantially change how intelligent you are. Those are more on the growth mindset track. So if you feel comfortable, just share in the chat, what did you notice about yourself? Do you tend to be more fixed or growth?
It's interesting for me, at least. I'll wait for some answers to come in the chat. But for me, at least, I don't know. I feel like I was like grappling with like, what is intelligence and like, is it? So I feel like actually I landed more on the fixed side personally. It's kind of surprising because I don't know. That's kind of where I landed on this.
Yeah, and I think the first time I ever took this, I kind of reacted the same way because I felt like intelligence was like, oh, my IQ score is this, and it's really like something that's not going to change so much. So that's definitely how initially, I was kind of looking at that.
Awesome. And I'm looking at the chats, and actually most people are saying they were more in line with growth mindset. So
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. And we're going to do one more assessment
Cool.
on the next page. All right, so let's look at these. Let's look at these sets of statements. Number 1, you were a certain kind of person, and there's not much that can be done to really change that. Do you tend to agree or disagree with that? Number 2, no matter what kind of person you are, you can always change substantially. Number 3, you can do things differently, but the important part of you, of who you are, really can't be changed. And number 4, you can always change basic things about the kind of person you are. So again, look at each of these statements and just write down if you tend to agree or disagree. And then I will reveal what is fixed and what is growth. All right, so number 1, you are a certain kind of person and there's not much that can be done to really change that. What kind of mind, I'm going to ask the question, how about this? What kind of mindset do you think that is? You are a certain kind of person and there's not much that can be done to really change that. Any guesses?
I mean, I'll wait for the chat to come. I'm going to guess fixed.
Yes, absolutely. And we know that because it says there's not much that can be done. So that's kind of the giveaway for that. How about for number 2? No matter what kind of person you are, you can always change substantially. What kind of mindset do you think that is?
see.
Any guesses?
I'm gonna guess growth on that one.
Yes, definitely. And we know that because it says you can change substantially. Number 3, you can do things differently, but the important part of who you are really can't be changed. What do you think that one is?
All right, let's see. I'm thinking fixed on that one is
Yes. Yeah. Because it says can't really be changed. And then number 4, you can always change basic things about the kind of person you are. So that is definitely growth. So again, I would love to hear from the audience after answering these sets of statements. Did you tend to fall more in the fixed category or the growth? And again, there's no wrong answers. It just is.
It's interesting for me, at least. I'll wait for the answers to come in the chat. I was more growth on this one and fixed on the first one. So it's interesting how it can, based on the context or the topic, it can be so different.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's see. We have a couple fixed coming in, growth. Let's see. Yeah,
A
growth.
blend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we
A
have
blend.
growth coming in. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. That's awesome. All right. So I'm going to share a little bit. I'm going to share a story about my mindset journey. So this is me, age, I'm going to say maybe 4, 3, 4. This is me living my best life. I've got my artist smock on. I've got my little fancy artist turtleneck and the easel with my, canvas on. I've got my paintbrush. And at a very, very young age, I knew that this is what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be an artist. And I remember my mom, and I'm sure for many people who are here today, you've gotten that question as a kid. Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? So my mom asked me that question, and I told her, I said, oh, Mom, I know I want to be an artist. I love painting. I love drawing. And this is what I want to do when I grow up. And my mom, in her infinite wisdom, said, oh, child, you're gonna be, famous after you're dead, and you're not going to make any money until after you're already gone. So you might want to think about, that's nice, but it's not practical. And so that, I remember that moment and feeling crushed, even way back then. That is like a memory that stuck with me. And, now as an adult, I know my parents are physicians. So I know that they are all about practicality and, being very stable and all of that good stuff. So I know she meant well now. But back then, it really impacted how I looked at myself. And growing up, and maybe some of you can relate to this, I definitely grew up with more of that fixed mindset of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, maybe I can't make the best decisions because, my mom was like, that's not really a great, path to go down. And so a very long time, I had a very, very fixed mindset, and it just kept me very small. Like even today, like if me 25 years ago definitely would not even be able to do this right now to talk to you. And so what shifted for me was once I started investing in myself and doing, whether it was reading books, taking self-development courses, for me, finding spirituality, that is when things started shifting for me. And I decided, that's when I decided I wanted, I want to go back to school for me. I want to get an advanced degree in organizational psychology because I'm noticing as a young adult how jacked up, I'm just going to say it, organizations can be and how they treat people. And it was really my mission to, make the workplace more functional when it came to human relationships and communication and teamwork and working with people. And so, over time, I just started letting go of old thought patterns, old beliefs, systems from my parents, teachers, former bosses, to really just paint my own path and really start looking within and looking at, well, what is it that I can bring to the table? How can I leverage my strengths of creativity, thinking a little bit different from everybody else who I meet, and really bringing that to my life and the people that I interact with. So I just wanted to share my story with you, so that that no matter how you're kind of looking at a current situation, it can change. It can definitely change. And in a moment, we're going to get into 9 different strategies that you can use to foster more of a growth mindset.
Thank you for sharing your story, by the way. It's like,
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that, like, there's people who have navigated in other directions, even when they thought like maybe it wasn't possible. So thank you. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. My pleasure. And here's my gardener again. Um, so I just want to remind you, you have a choice. Mindsets are just beliefs, and beliefs are thoughts that you can change. So just know that no matter how you're feeling today about your job search, getting back into the workforce, or maybe even pivoting to work for yourself, you can change if you have a fixed mindset, you can definitely change that. All right, so let's get into the different strategies. Oops. Can you hear me okay, Katie?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Okay, great. All right, cool. Because it's so loud. It's so loud back here. So number 1 is reframe your outlook. And I feel like that number 1 is kind of like an umbrella for all of the ones to follow. But what I want to really say about reframing your outlook. So let's just say, we're going to do an example too in the next slide, but let's just say, you've gotten passed up for promotions once, twice, whatever. So let's just say that's your situation. One way you could look at it is, what's wrong with me? How come this keeps happening? But what I mean by reframing your outlook is, how else can you look at this situation? Can you look at this situation as through the lens of curiosity? Like, and that's going to lead me into number 2, asking a powerful question. And I like to stay away from why questions, because I think that tends to kind of trip us up and just, continue negative thoughts and feelings. But really, asking yourself, like, so for example, in the situation of getting passed up on promotions, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this situation? And, what are things that maybe I can do differently to prepare for my next interview? So, just really asking yourself those questions like that. And then number 3, and this is from Dr. Carol Dweck. Number 3 is incorporating the word yet. So, sometimes we tend to think that certain subjects are impossible for us to learn, like, for example, in my example, math and finances. And so, having that kind of outlook of, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. If you can just add the word yet to the end of that. So, you know what? Financial acumen is something that I have not mastered yet. And just by even saying that, and even saying that statement, like, I feel my body just kind of relaxing a little bit more. And knowing that, there's always more to learn anyway, and we can get there eventually, just through effort, through trying different strategies and getting help. So adding the word yet is also very powerful. And number 4, beware of labels. So, and this is what I mean by saying things like, catch yourself, I'm not good at, or, oh, I can't believe I said that, I'm so stupid or dumb. And, I've said these things about myself, to myself, many times. And we just want to be aware of how we are talking to ourselves, our self-talk. And I'll just give a tip. One thing that I do, and I think this was one of the questions that came up, but what can you do when you're noticing that you're kind of going down this negative rabbit hole? So this is something that I learned in one of my self-development courses that I took. When I catch myself saying things like, "Oh my God, Clarissa, that was so dumb. Why did you say that?" I'll literally say out loud, "Cancel, cancel." I know it might sound silly, but I literally say, "Cancel, cancel," and cancel that thought. And then it just kind of helps me reset, refocus, and just move on. So that's a little strategy that you can use there. Is just saying out loud or in your head, if you don't want to say it out loud, cancel, cancel. Number 5 is creating micro goals. So I think whenever we are, because I know many of you are here on a job search, looking for jobs, and just that whole thing can be very daunting. Just job search can be so broad. But if you can really break it down into micro goals, micro steps, what am I going to be doing each and every day to put myself out there? Who am I going to network with every day, even if it's just 2 people? But just setting those micro goals so that this big topic of job search does not feel as daunting. So creating micro goals, I think, are really going to help you. And then number 6, ask for constructive feedback. So again, going back to my example of maybe getting passed up for a promotion, you can ask for constructive feedback from your boss, from a peer, and just, kind of get their input and their perspective on, how, what did they see? Not that you're going to, change to everybody else's whim, but it is really important for us to know, especially if we're working in an organization or even for ourselves, what do our clients think? What, what feedback can we get from other people just to help ourselves grow? So I think asking for feedback is a necessary. And then number 7 is practice mindfulness. And what I mean by mindfulness is just getting back to the present moment. So another thing I like to do whenever I'm feeling, that overwhelm or not feeling great about something, you can do a couple of different things. One is just to, focus on your breathing. It may sound very simple, but just focusing on your breathing will just bring you back to the present moment and just literally stopping whatever it is you're doing and counting in for 4, inhale, exhale for 4. So that is one thing that you can do to just get back into the present moment. Another thing that you can do to practice mindfulness is to just literally change your posture. So, you're sitting down, just stand up. Standing up will get you back into your body, into the present moment. And if you can, I like to go out for a walk. I like to just get up, move my body. It just helps me refocus, reset, and start over again. So those are just some tips that you can do to practice mindfulness. Number 8 is to, reflect and journal. I am a big journaler. I have been my entire life. And to just, get the mind chatter out of your head and onto paper. And then you can go back and read what you wrote. And then maybe you can, ask yourself a powerful question. like, how else can I look at this current situation that I'm in? But I find definitely taking a step back, pausing, reflecting really helps a ton. And then number 9 is what I wrote purpose. And I think sometimes that can be a very big word, but really finding out, like going back to your ikigai, what are you really passionate about doing? Is there something, a strength that you have that can solve a problem? What type of job can be tied to, the strengths that you have, and really kind of coming up with your why. And it's does not need to be this, I want to save the world. That's great, and if that's your purpose, awesome. But maybe it's just, what, I want to be able to provide for my family or myself, whatever it might be. Finding something that you can feel purposeful for also helps.
There's,
So I'll pause and just see if there's questions.
yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm taking so much away from this. Like, even like number 2, ask a powerful question. I feel like I'm always asking why questions, but that's so powerful to think like, no, ask how or what. Like, those are more actionable. Like, you can actually do something about it. So that was really good insight. And also cancel. I'm going to do that. Like, that is
Yeah.
simple, easy, habit to get into. So I really love that. Yeah, everybody, there was feedback that they really liked the cancel tip, and just someone thanking you. They needed the reminder today to reframe their outlook. So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we are going to do an exercise. I know I just kind of took one, did one with you, but I would love for you to, answer in the chat. Okay. So I would love for you to think of a recent setback, and maybe it was not getting an interview that you wanted, or maybe you didn't get hired for a job that you interviewed for, or maybe you didn't land a client after talking with them for hours on the phone. So what kind of, going back to the tips and strategies that I just went over, how can you use any of those to shift, maybe how you're seeing this setback? And I'll just pause.
as we're waiting for the chats to come in, I can just jump in. And I think
Yeah.
for me, I feel like on a pretty regular basis, kind of come up with this big idea that I'm excited about and kind of share it with, maybe broader teams or other parts of the organization. And sometimes it doesn't land how I thought it would. And the excitement is not, is shared like I thought it would be. So I think for me, it's going back to that, the question, ask a powerful question, like, okay, how can I, take these learnings and repurpose them for when next time I share an idea. Like, I think for me, and also coming, like, asking for the constructive feedback. I think those are 2
Yes.
key pieces for me to be able to kind of like take what I've learned and repackage that, and next time around, feel like I'm coming with the next best thing, or feeling recharged.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing that. And that's happened to me too, where it's like, I'm so excited about something.
Mhm.
And then when I share it, it's like, like some people are on board, but like maybe the majority isn't. And I'm like, okay.
From the chat, someone said the growth mindset perspective for what they're facing would be to ask, what can I do differently next time?
Yes. Yeah. I love asking that question, okay. And I have a coach. And one thing that she always shares, and I'll share with all of you, is, no matter what we do in our life, whether it's going out on an interview or launching something for the very first time, we either get the result that we want or we get the lesson. And either way, it's a win. And, with the lesson, we just, tweak and repeat and then try again.
I love that. Lesson, or a win. I love that. That's
Yeah.
actually a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And as I mentioned earlier, and I'm kind of shifting here to share a little bit about my coaching framework, but the mindset is the foundational piece to my coaching model, which I call painting your path. It's just so, so important. And that's a copy of my book, which somebody here is going to win a copy of that. But in my 5-step framework, again, mindset is foundational because really that is the thing that we need to work on every day to help us, be the best version that we can be. And in my framework, I've got 5 steps, and I'm just going to go over the first one with you all today. Step 1 is dream. And we talked about one of the strategies, is finding your purpose, starting with your purpose, starting with your why. And I'm all about vision boards. Is anybody here like doing vision boards? Please drop a 1 in the chat. I would love to know if there's any vision board fans out there. And, if you have not done this yet for yourself, I highly encourage you. If you're not sure what your purpose is, again, whatever, you can always just start out by answering these questions. What are the things that you love to do? What lights you up? Where do you want to work? What kind of industry? And what kind of impact do you want to make? So before, even maybe doing all the job search things, is just, maybe take a step back and really take inventory of who you are, because when you show up the best way that you can, then I know that's when you're going to attract those those opportunities to work in certain organizations, or if you're planning on going out on your own, attracting those dream clients. I find that a lot of people who I work with, they just want to know the strategy to, what are the strategies that I need to do to land the job, or how am I going to, connect with my ideal client, without taking a look at, well, who are they first? And so that's why that is step 1 in my framework, is because I think a lot of people just automatically want to go into action, which is great. And as a foundation, step 1 is really just taking a look at who you are, because that is so important. And your magic, your unique qualities, are going to be the thing that are going to attract that perfect job.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I feel like it's right. It's a centering thing that you can keep coming back to be like, okay, like I know this about myself. Like I can keep, moving forward with this information, like with this belief in myself. And yeah, that's really powerful. And I love the question, what impact do you want to make? Like that is really unique. I feel like I don't see that a lot out there. And I love that question, like so much.
Awesome. All right, so just a recap before we get into takeaways and Q&A. So we defined the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, and I went over my 9 strategies on how you can master your growth mindset. And I also talked about my coaching framework, my painting your path framework, and at the foundation of that is mindset, as well as self-care, because when we're not taking care of ourselves, it's hard to have that growth mindset and that open mind. All right, so this is my takeaway slide. That's what that is. So I would love to hear from a couple of you, of all the things that we've talked about so far. What has stood out? What has stood out to you the most? And I know some people are going to use the cancel. I love that. Other people are going to, ask that powerful question, what can I do differently? But if there's anybody else out there that would love to, I would love to hear from you. What is one of your takeaways from today?
I'm seeing, somebody put in the chat a little while ago that they've been trying for mindfulness by reading and taking walks, which it's good to feel like reinforce, right? Like that is a strategy that works. So it's good to for the people joining us today to know the things that they're doing, they're on the right path for
Absolutely.
this. While we're waiting for comments to come in, I mean, for me, I think this is just really, I feel like, a lot of us are just like, go, go, go. Like, what can I be doing? What should I be doing? Like, what needs to be happening right now? And this has been a good time to just reflect and be like, it's okay to take a step back once in a while just to be and think before do. So I think for me, that's my big takeaway.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So we have here reminders to recognize what my mindset is in a moment and take a breath and pause. Incorporating yet seems like a strategy that could help me with some negative self-talk. Yep, adding yet. People are going to start leveraging that.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Awesome. Cool. Yep. Everybody, the yet tip is going a long way here.
Good. So. Good.
Awesome. Well, this has been incredible. I think, the way you broke it down into these kind of like 9 steps makes it, seem manageable. Cause I do feel like sometimes it seems like such a big topic, but, breaking it down into those 9 pieces that are all, you're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, constructive criticism, like, they're just, it's so actionable. So we really appreciate, you breaking it down. So
You're welcome.
To right now go through a few questions that came in from the community, and if you have any other ones that are popped up during the session that you didn't drop into the chat yet, everybody there, feel free to drop it. But I guess first question is, what do you find is the single biggest obstacle in creating a mindset for success?
So I'm just going to say it's that fixed mindset. It is really looking at, like just telling yourself that I am this way, and we are the ones that are getting in our own way. Me too. Like everything that I'm sharing with you is a reflection back on me. And I think just, first recognizing, where do you tend to land, on a certain topic, that is a great starting point. And I believe anybody can shift it. But to me, that really is the thing that's getting in the way, is just having a fixed outlook on who you are, who you can become, your current circumstance. So for me, that's what I think is really getting in the way.
Yeah, it's true. We have the power to push through it, though. And yeah,
we do, for sure.
This question actually, I think, is really interesting, for someone who may be a friend, a partner, a colleague, a boss, whatever it may be. How do you bring others into a new mindset alongside you? So sometimes those around us can detract from our progress or dissuade us from changing. Do you have any strategies for kind of tuning them out or kind of bringing them on board to shift their own mindset?
I sure do. When I saw that question, I was like, yes, I have a lot to say on this one. First, we can really, truly only change ourselves. As soon as we can let go, and trust me, this is one that I held on for a very long time, trying to change other people. We can truly only change ourselves. And what we can do is be the example of, the person that, we know is the best version of ourselves. And, by standing in that, you will, maybe not overtly, but you will influence those around you. And there will be people in your life who will get on board with you. I've seen it. It has happened in my life. And then there's others who are not going to like what they see. Who is this person? You're different. I want you more the way you were, when we were friends, and kind of, maybe more in that fixed mindset together. Misery loves company. So you may have to, just let certain people go, and I get if it's family. So, okay, here's my thing on family. And again, we cannot change how they are. We can only, change our behavior. And we can take a stand for them. We can talk about it. But if we push, which I have done, I admit it, we will, we can repel them. And for topics that maybe you really disagree on, and you're just going to get down that ugly rabbit hole. For me, those are topics that I just stay away from. And this is how I handle it. You may handle it a little bit different, but you're on your own path. People aren't going to understand, not everyone, and that's okay. But as long as you are working on yourself, it's amazing to see what the ripple effect can be. And I think those who shift along with you, grow with you, they're going to stay in your life. And the ones that don't and want you to stay the person you no longer want to be, they're going to filter out. Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I think that insight to not push, like, I think that's so key.
I've done it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's super helpful. And yeah, even like for my selfishly, I was like, let's answer this question because I'm definitely interested. But yes, super helpful.
Yes.
All right. So the next question, this one's kind of interesting because even going through the exercises, in some scenarios, me personally, I identified with fixed, and then the next scenario, I identified with growth. So is there a way to like change your mindset for good where you're always approaching things with growth mindset? Like, is it possible to master this, or are we constantly kind of changing so it may kind of go back and forth a bit?
Honestly, I think this is just me. I don't think we ever arrive, because I think we can master, maybe a growth mindset in a topic that we were struggling with. And then there's always that next level. And I think, for people who are in development or in growth, they're always tending to move forward. And so I like to say new level, new devil, and that fixed mindset can creep in certain areas. And I will say this, I do think it gets easier over time. I do think you can catch yourself sooner if you practice, any of those 9 strategies. And that's why I wanted to give you a lot of different things that you could use, different tools for your tool belt, your growth mindset tool belt. Because that's what I've just noticed for myself. That's what I've noticed with my clients, where, maybe you feel really like, oh my God, this is impossible. And then just with effort, with input, maybe working with a coach or a mentor, those things can shift. So I do think it can get easier. And I do think we can catch ourselves sooner than later. And I also think, like I said, if we're always growing, there's always going to be something. There's always going to be something coming in that is going to, challenge our mindset.
Yep, that's helpful. Yeah, and I mean, I think it always comes back like you got to have grace with yourself too. Like,
yes,
we're human. Like,
yes.
we're changing, we're evolving. But yeah, that's really
Yes.
helpful. So I mean, I know for this next question, I mean, I know even in your career, you've pivoted, a few times. Do you have any advice for the career pivoters that are joining us today and how they can best take this growth mindset and use that as they kind of embark in kind of finding their path forward as they look to do something different in their career?
Yeah, I think, for people who are pivoting, and that is honestly like for me, I tended to pivot every 7 to 10 years. So I have done it many times. And what has worked for me is, sometimes people think, and I was working with somebody who was like, well, I was in this industry and now I want to do this. It's not the same. And so just a reminder, you have fantastic skills. Whatever you were doing in your former career, there are definitely skills that are transferable. How you communicate, your organizational skills, PowerPoint, if you were a graphic designer, you were always going to have those skills. And so really maybe look at the pivot as, like, oh no, instead of, oh no, like, how's this going to work? Like, oh my gosh, this is fun. Like, reframe your outlook, be curious, like, how can the skills that I had in company A translate into company B? And I'm sure if you look for the common thread, you will find it, guaranteed. And that's what I have done too. I mean, I have gone from, maybe this will be helpful. I started out in retail management. I shifted into graphic design. So I was, graphic designer for a long time. And then I shifted into HR consulting and managed a team of, customer service people. And then I shifted again into the healthcare industry, coaching and doing training and development and leadership development. And and I missed one in higher education. That's when I was basically like a catch-all. That was like super early in my career. When I moved to California, I didn't have a job, and then I got hired at Caltech. And it was like, I'm just going to do whatever, I can do to help. So I have, pivoted through all of those different careers, and, and some of them, yes, I did need to have some kind of training. So I did take a course, like for going from retail to graphic design, you definitely need to take, maybe take some coursework, but it wasn't anything major. And so anyways, that's just an illustration of my path. And just what did I have, in common across all of that was I'm just going to say customer service. So that was kind of like my thread, and working with people, working on different teams, and getting the teams to, accept other outlooks. I knew that was my strength, and just building that, fostering that teamwork. That's what I brought throughout every different career path I had.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that is the key, right? Pulling that thread all the way through. And it sounds like, you took the time to find out what was really exciting you and like that you wanted to bring along with you to the next thing. So that's great advice. I'll ask just one more quick question.
Yeah.
Now, for kind of playing off of that a bit, for maybe not someone making a pivot per se, but looking to re-enter the workforce, maybe after taking some time off to be with their family, raise their kids, whatever it may be. Any, thoughts for leveraging this mindset for a re-entry?
Yeah, I think, again, to me, whenever I got that question, I think just really number 9, purpose, and really standing in your strength. And I actually was working with, with a mom who I think she had taken, I forgot how many years. It was at least 5. I think it was at least 5. And, and going back into it. And I just reminded her, look at all the amazing things you have done in your previous career. She gave me a resume, and I looked at it and I was like, holy moly, you have done so much. And I do think, and maybe, I don't know how true it is, but I feel there are way more organizations now that get it, especially with COVID happening and kind of still here. We've had to just change the way we look at things. And now there's a lot of, more people that I have met where moms are intentionally, I'm staying home with my child. I'm going to, foster their development in those early years. It is critical. It's critical. And so I do think a lot more organizations are more like accepting to that. Definitely I see the shift now than when I started my career in the 90s. So it's definitely different. And I just say, for the moms that are coming back into the workforce, stand in your truth of your strengths. You have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's you hit the nail on the head. It's just be confident, like you have so much in your toolkit, and these companies need it. And I agree. I mean, that's part of the reason why the Mom Project exists, is to give our community a chance to connect with these companies that get it and see the value, and are going out of their way to make sure they hire women, moms, caregivers, the whole thing. So awesome. I know we're right at time here. So do you have any final gem that you want to leave our attendees here with today?
Yeah, I just want to say, again, no matter what, no matter how your outlook is, you have the power to change it. Change your thoughts, change your world. So just believe. And I know, and it might sound like hokey, oh yeah, just believe, but truly, like, feel that, feel it in your body. Just practice, practice doing the strategies. When you catch yourself, say cancel, cancel. I mean, I remember when I first started using that tool, oh my God, Katie, I think I said cancel, cancel at least 100 times a day, and now it's definitely way less. And so just with that intentionality, and if this is the mindset that you are ready to adopt, you absolutely can have it. You can have anything you want in this world. I fully stand in that 100%.
I love it. Thanks for leaving us with that. So we have a lot of different ways you can connect with Clarissa. They're here, but we're also going to include all of this in the follow-up email you're going to get shortly. And for the book giveaway, there's going to be a call out in the email. So you just reply to the email that you're interested in the book, and we'll pull someone at random, and we'll get in touch with you soon to get that copy in your hands. But thank you all for joining us. Clarissa, thank you so much for sharing such incredible knowledge and actionable tips for how we can all kind of get in a better mindset and make progress against our goals and our dreams. So thank you. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And we'll see you all at the next masterclass very soon.